G'day guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Gone Bush podcast. After 3 weeks we've been gone, I'll get a bit more into that later. But first we're going to be talking about, well, currently they're not in the news, but this is Friday and by Tuesday it's probably back in the news. We're going to have a bit of a chat about Russia and their allies and what's coming from them, at least what we both think is coming in the future. So go ahead and take it away.
Now, we were going to, talk about the North Korea and Putin's the last meeting that they've been having.
Yes.
They've probably been having more meetings than we know about, probably.
Yeah, so apparently you were saying earlier that they were doing that, or at least the media was making out that meeting was about Putin's short on weapons and he's looking to North Korea to get more.
Yes, apparently that's what it's about.
Now, see, that to me just says the stupid ass, what are we going to call them, right-wing media? Would you call them that?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Stupid ass right-wing media is not even thinking their things out anymore. Russia has some of the most advanced weapon and military technology in the world. We don't know about it all because they don't show it off. Excuse my sniffing, I've still got a little bit of a cold. But North Korea, whilst they show off their weapons all the time, half of them don't work. So it fathoms me a little bit that they would put out the idea that Putin would go to Kim Jong-un to get weapons. It just doesn't really make sense, does it?
Well, yeah, but unless it's like there isn't much choice, nobody else is going to give him weapons. I mean, they just get what he can take,
Yeah, but with...
That's the only I can think of, and it
unless
might be smalls.
Unless there's material shortages, I can't see that they'd have any other problems in Russia. I mean, it's got such a huge workforce.
It could be just a simple thing as bullets.
Yeah, I think it would be a material thing, and bullets come under
like
that.
I'm thinking perishables, we'll call it.
Yeah.
More than hardware.
Yeah.
So...
I think it has to be along the material line.
I think more this area, because, you're right with the other technology.
Although if he
hasn't used any of that, so he's got all that.
Although if I was him, what I would do is I wouldn't require the weapons from North Korea. I'd require the materials.
Yeah, ammunitions and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, because we know he knows if it's made in his country, it's going to work.
Yeah.
So you can't really,
Could be medical supplies, could be anything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter what it is. It's helping the war. So on his side. So.
Yeah.
But that's what the meeting is about.
And so I think if we were to talk about another war. In this case, I would call it World War IV, and I'll go into in a minute why I think that. I think that the ones we'd be worried about, because I think there's going to be three who we'd be fighting, and it's going to be Russia, China, and North Korea. I don't think we need to worry at all about North Korea. They'll basically fire a few shots, and we'll fire one nuke, and they'll be done. But China and Russia, holy shit, yeah, they won't necessarily wipe us out because we've got a lot of countries who would fight against them. So it'd be kind of an even war in one way.
A bigger weapon is defence.
That's right.
Take out things before they hit. Right?
Exactly right. That's right.
That's where we need to be concentrating.
That's right.
Because considering that you don't know when one's coming.
Yeah.
That's obviously where you got to concentrate your defence.
And I think
we need to be able to take out anything that comes our way.
And I think our I don't know if this is the correct word, but our allyship with China plays a very large part in why we're not already at war with Russia.
Yeah.
Because they are their allies and they will back them up.
Don't worry about sending stuff out.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're here to protect.
We can't go against China because of their power and how much the billions and billions of dollars we owe them.
Yeah.
But if they get the opportunity to align with Russia in a world war, they would look at it and go, oh, bugger the billions of dollars they owe us. We'll just take over their land and make it part of us, which is a lot more effective. They get a lot more money out of it.
Yeah,
so for China, it would be a smart option if there is a war aligned with Russia because they'll probably do a lot better, especially when you combine those two technologies. Oh, my God, especially just in fighter jets, the MiGs and the Sukhois. If I see one of those flying over the sky, you know it's all over. Because, there's some...
Yeah. If
really
you see an F-35 flying over, I wouldn't worry too much about that one.
Well, no, see, I would. I'd be worried the thing's going to crash on me.
They could end up in your backyard, mate.
The worst fighter jet they ever,
I told you that was a
ever
hunk of
made.
shit. And guess what? One crashed the other day. The pilot had to escape out. It did crash eventually.
Yeah, but how funny was that? The plane kept flying for another 10 minutes after the pilot ejected.
Yeah. I think you couldn't get the autopilot off. And if you can't get autopilot off, it's destined to stack itself.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I know a lot of countries, when it came out, they ordered it. And when they really realised what a lemon it is, they all cancelled their orders.
Yes.
Our government's still idiot because we've still got them on order. And I think we've got some of them now. But really, just wait until you've designed a better plane. Until then, keep the FA-18s going, and in America, keep your F-22s
Yes.
going.
I think the 35 is a bridge model. There's something new coming.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be another one of these bloody VTOL aircraft.
No.
They need to get rid of that.
Yeah, they've got to change the way they're doing that.
Yeah.
All right, because even the Osprey is a lemon. Right. Don't talk to me about that one.
I was saying to you before, it's kind of ironic because that thing is such a lemon, but when you play the game Grand Theft Auto 5, it's actually one of the best aircraft in the game. It flies okay, and it's also got a big base inside.
Well,
it's
that's
kind of ironic.
how the aircraft was supposed to fly.
yeah, how it
so-
flies in the game is how it's meant to be, but
Yeah.
it's not.
It gets
Had
into
countless
trouble even on the
crashes.
runway.
Do you actually know how many crashes there have been with those?
I don't know the details, but I know there's been 2 in the last year or 2.
Yeah, there you go. So it'd be quite high for all aircraft.
Yeah, and one
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
One fell off the deck of a boat, one of the ships.
Isn't it kind of surprising though? There has been so many of them. They're still using them. But what was it? We had a couple of crashes with the Concorde. Boom, gone.
Yeah.
But we still use this military aircraft.
Yeah,
Bit
I
silly.
think because it's very good at taking payload.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
Troop
Well,
carrier type of thing.
Yeah.
And
That makes sense.
what surprises me though about this though, in every aircraft made, before they make the real aircraft, they've made a model
Yeah.
and flown it.
Yeah.
What happened with the Osprey? Because the models that I've seen in the hobby shop don't fly.
You
And I was not able to buy one.
having said that, that little one you got last week
Yeah.
probably works better than the real thing.
Right. Well, that's the only one that really flies properly.
But that's because it's got like.
It's 4-prop in a drone configuration.
I was going to say it's got the drone
Yeah.
gyro in it.
So, really, it's a drone. Right?
It is.
I bought one from JK, if everyone wants to know. I haven't got it here to show you. Should have bought it in.
And for any international viewers, JCar is a electronical parts store.
Yeah. I thought I'd buy it because it was my birthday coming up actually soon, on Sunday this week. A little present for myself was $25 or 26, something like that.
Yeah.
And down from like $69 on special. And I couldn't walk past it. I liked the Osprey. And I just sort of felt I needed to buy it because I might be able to get one that actually flies properly. I've got another VTOL aircraft that does fly properly, but it's a jet thing. It doesn't look like an Osprey.
I was going to say, like, we've got a grant with this little Osprey you got. It does have 4 rotor blades. So
It
it
has.
does already fly better than a normal Osprey because it's got 4, not
Yeah,
2.
'cause it's got the 4.
And they don't switch around.
Yeah, and it's not a transition.
No.
It doesn't do the
It's
transition.
one spot.
So there's your first problem.
Yeah, it's literally just a drone in an Osprey's body.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the model they actually made an Osprey, proper Osprey model, military one,
Yeah.
all to spec,
Yeah.
and the transition was too fast, and you couldn't control it, and you stacked it, and you
That
couldn't
same
fix
problem in the actual thing?
it. I don't know if that's the problem in the real one. I don't think so because the pilot's got full control of that, how fast that goes. It's not actually done by the computer.
It's
I don't think.
manual.
Yeah, on the radar control one, the computer does it.
Yeah.
You haven't got control of it. And it falls out of the sky. The jet one that I've got, XK450 it's called, for the viewers at home if you want to know, buy that one because that one works pretty good. It doesn't look like an Osprey, but it takes off vertical and the front 2 rotors pull forward and you can fly it. It is a transition aircraft. The transition into full flight's pretty severe, but it doesn't hit the ground and you can fly it.
Yeah, okay.
It's experienced pilot in this area as well. I don't fly it in that mode that much, but when you take off and push forward just in hover mode, the motors do go forward
Yeah,
about
no,
about
so-
halfway.
Yeah.
To give the optical illusion that that's what you're doing anyway, and it goes forward. It's quite good.
Yeah, well, with those, vertical takeoff is really more just of a show-off thing.
Yeah, and
You
it's
don't
got
fly it like that.
it's got 3 blades.
Yeah.
So these ones that do that at the front, and there's one at the back in the middle of the fuselage.
Yeah.
A lot of the models had that.
Yeah,
And this other one that was in the hobby shop had that as well.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
yeah,
And this one from Jaycar is the only one I've seen on the market that actually does work. It flies, it doesn't fly out of the sky, it does as it's told, it lands back on its pad. Pretty good. I'd recommend it, actually.
Anyway,
going on, yes. Exactly.
yeah. So let's jump a bit onto the Ukraine bit, because to me that's interesting, because it everything we've seen on our media is completely one-sided.
Yeah.
We haven't been seeing both sides, and I know people wouldn't necessarily say this, but I haven't. When I'm seeing these people who have been affected by the war, whether it's lost their homes, got hurt, whatever, I'm not hearing them say anything in regards to the Russians. All I'm hearing is, help us, please stop the war, please stop the shooting, that sort of stuff, which, yes, you would still say, but I've heard absolutely nothing from the Ukrainian people directing at Russia. Now that leads me to another thing, that in it was 2014, there was for lack of a better word, a sort of a civil crisis, in that some Russian rebel troops had invaded, There was a lot of shit going on for a while, and eventually to bring an end to it all, the Ukrainian government decided, all right, we'll do a referendum to see whether the Crimean people want to become a part of the Russian Federation or stay as part of Ukraine. The majority voted to become a part of the Russian Federation, and at this point, Ukraine did not honour that referendum, which is a horrible thing to do. You could try and imagine our government going against a referendum. You're not allowed to do that. Obviously, something in Ukraine law allowed him to do that. I've heard the Russians mentioned stuff about crimes against humanity perpetrated by the Ukrainian government. There are a lot of them. You only have to look on Google for these, well, maybe not Google, but they're out there. You can see it. They're on YouTube.
I like the way the United States has been able to fight Putin from under the radar.
And that's the other thing I was going to say. So
Under
at
the
the
radar.
moment, I think we've got a lot of people who are actually, Ukrainian people who actually want to be part of the Russian Federation, because from what it seems like, the Ukrainian government ain't great.
Yeah.
But it has also been another an operation, because as we were sort of saying before, the Americans cannot invade Russia without justification.
Yeah.
This Ukraine crisis gives them that justification.
It has.
And I
we'll
think,
give you all the weapons and you guys use them.
yeah,
And you know what? You're fighting for us.
again, and I
this
think
is great.
China plays a very large part in why we haven't already invaded. I'm sure that there is tons of other factors, but I believe this is also a factor, in that because China's allied to them and us, we can't risk pissing them off, because they'll go and back Russia, and if they back Russia, we've got a serious war on our hands.
Yeah.
So we can't risk pissing them off, and I think that's one large factor as to why the invasion hasn't quite yet happened.
Yeah.
Maybe, for all I know, we could be trying to get, right now, the reason we haven't gone in could be because the US is trying to get China on side. I don't know. But there's definitely a reason why we haven't, we're going to follow the US, so whatever.
Yeah.
But there has to be a reason right now why the US hasn't invaded Russia. There's got to be something stopping them, because we know what Russia's like. US is like. They love to storm into everywhere and take over. And there's got to be a reason why they haven't done it yet. Whether it's they haven't got the weaponry to take on countries so large, or I don't know what it
A lot
is.
of the problem in the past has been the distance between the two countries.
Agreed.
You haven't had the firepower to travel that far.
Well, see, no, that was the
We
thing.
would have now.
I
in the
don't
past.
know. I can't answer for the US because I really don't remember. But during the Cold War, for example, Cuba's a perfect example. Russia placed nuclear missile bases there so that they could hit the US. So during the Cold War, Russia was always able to fire a nuclear missile and hit the US. I don't know if the US had those capabilities. I'm not sure. They might have. They probably did if they went to Alaska. They could hit Russia straight from Alaska. Alaska used to be a Russian territory. But yeah, they've all been deactivated after the end of the Cold War. They were deactivated.
Well, I don't think we even need them now. We've got
No, 'cause
ballistic missiles and stuff which can go
right
full
around the
distance
world, yeah.
without even launching an aircraft.
Exactly.
So,
And you got to remember though, the Russians have the same stuff,
yeah,
or better.
we've all got it. Everyone's
Exactly.
got it.
Yeah.
It's how we have to be. Everybody's got to have the same to maintain stability.
But I'll go back to something I said I'll go back on. The reason I believe,
Like little fucking children. Everyone's got to have the fucking same shit, right? Or there'll be an argument.
well, yeah,
Well, it's the same.
and you can't have it if they don't have
That's
it.
right. Yeah, No,
Yeah.
no. If you got one for the whole, for everyone, well, put it away.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh,
Shit.
we were going on with the.
Shit, that's the first time you've thrown me off and it worked.
Oh yeah.
Well done.
Mm.
What was I going to say?
Oh,
Yes, sorry. So, about World War, why I would consider a Russian war, World War IV, because a world war is not defined by multiple countries fighting other multiple countries. It's defined by a large majority of countries fighting a war. And so I say we've been in World War III ever since about 2001, 2002 when we invaded Afghanistan, Iraq. We've been in bloody Libya, all those Middle Eastern countries. We started back then. And yes, there wasn't a lot of sides competing against us. There's only two, well, let's say up to 5 people competing against us. But there was a very large majority of the countries around the world. Pretty much every member of the UN was there fighting. So that is a world war. We're just not calling it that yet, and we don't call it that because calling it that instills fear in people that they don't want, even though they want us to have fear of a lot of things. World war apparently the fear doesn't work for the world. But yeah, I really don't know what's going to happen because it's really hard to tell because we've got one-sided media.
Well, it brings me to it's one of 3 things, sort of thing. And we mentioned the World War IV or 3, whatever you want to call it, which we're already in. It's probably not that then. Then we've got the meteorite that's coming to wipe out the Earth. And then we've got global warming. And if you want to pop a 4th one in, we'll have famine. The food's running out.
Yeah, but would that be worldwide? Or would that be...
Now, people that can eat insects will be fine.
So Africa's fine?
Yeah, pretty much. And Cambodia and Taiwan, they're all pretty good.
I'm just going to preface this by saying no offence because I think this culture is awesome, but also the Aborigines.
Yes. For as long as there's chocolate, insects will be fine.
Well,
That's one way of putting
for
it.
Aborigines, so long as there's witchetty grubs, they're fine.
That's
they
right.
love
And if I have to eat insects, I need a bowl of chocolate. I reckon that'll do it.
To be honest, the only insect I think I could eat would be earthworms. Because earthworms. Cause
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could eat anything else.
Oh. I was going to start with crickets, really. Yeah, and cockroach.
You've thought about this too much.
Only because I've seen my frogs eat them and I know they're safe. Start there.
A frog can eat a bloody bee and blowfly. I still wouldn't eat one of them. They can eat
I
mosquitoes.
said-
I wouldn't eat one.
Like I said, we'll start with the crickets. All right? We'll get on to the staple stuff later.
Yeah, I think that's actually going along that.
Yeah.
I think if there was to be a famine, I think it would be to do with disease.
Yeah, well, that'd be.
I think that's a high possibility.
Yeah, could be another one of these viruses will come again.
Yeah, but I think it'll be heavy. If there's a famine, that virus would be heavily in a lot of foods.
Yeah.
Which would cause us to not eat those foods for a while. Which
Yes.
would be a lot of them.
Yeah. So famine's a big possibility.
As weird as it sounds, out of those 4 possibilities, for mine and your lifetimes, which isn't, as long as most other people, you're already older. I haven't got a long lifespan.
Yeah, I'm an old bastard.
Yeah, what are you going to be 61 in 2 days?
61.
And whilst I'm
No.
And whilst I'm 33, my body is a bit beat up.
I'll be 61, I think, on Sunday. Yes, I will be. I'm sorry. Yep.
No, you got to have them down here.
Oh, down further.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
By the way, have you seen my walking stick? I think I left it somewhere.
Got a few.
Oh, which one? Right.
Messed up thing is we both actually have them and we both actually need them at times.
I've even got a scooter. Anyway, right. Back
Yeah,
on with
but
the
come on,
program.
that you use because it's funny.
That'd be another episode. Uncle Linton stuff.
He doesn't need to, but he literally goes down to the shops on a mobility scooter.
Yeah,
Because
I
his
do.
dad gave it to him when he passed.
I've got to make sure I use the battery. You know what I do these days? I go down the street and I get flowers from people's gardens on my scooter for the butterflies in the butterfly house. And when someone pulls me up, they think I'm getting them for the missus or something. And when I explain to them what I'm doing, they, oh, I've got somewhere at the back. They want to help me now. Right? When I go in the car, I get told off. When I go on the scooter, they help me.
You're like turning into a true old man more and more every day.
No, but the real reason I go on the scooter is because it's very easy to. I'm on the footpath already, to just stand up on the scooter and pick some flowers off a tree. When I go in the car, I've got to stop the car, put the blinker on, get my seatbelt off, put the car in safe mode because it's a new hybrid thing, and it starts beeping and carrying on. And oh my god, open the doors, all this noise, shut the door, bang! Now everyone's coming out. I haven't even got to the flowers yet, right? No, take the scooter. Much better.
All right, I'm going to pull him up because if I don't stop him, he'll keep raveling on.
Yep.
So for our lifetime, as weird as it might sound, I think the most likely thing happening is a meteorite.
Yes.
I think global warming is past mine and your lifetimes.
No, I wouldn't say that myself. I mean, unless you're going to die tomorrow.
I don't think global warming is going to destroy the... I don't think the global warming they're talking about where we can barely breathe and all that, I don't think that's going to be our lifetime.
Yeah, well, it's coming fast.
It really depends, because it does still take a while.
I think it's a race between global warming and that meteorite.
Yeah, the world... I don't know if we'll ever declare a world war again. Cause
No, there's no need to. We're already in it.
Yeah, and declaring it just doesn't...
What are you declaring?
Well, because you've got to remember too, it doesn't just affect the people, it affects businesses, industries,
that's right.
everything.
Yeah.
So they can't use that term.
Yes. So if we don't call it war, business goes on as usual.
That's right. Or if we call it a war on terror, it's very, very justified.
Yeah, and it's
There's no fear
specificized.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, that's what I think is the most likeliest out of those three options.
And the war on plastic, speaking of wars on things, that's another episode because that's a big issue.
Yeah.
All the plastic that's washing up on people's shores in other countries.
Yeah.
Right?
And we're still recycling shit all.
Yeah, I know. Shit all.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what a joke.
It's ridiculous.
I asked someone the other day, they went to Coles, or they're all doing the paper bag stuff now.
Yeah.
So in that paper bag, have a look how much plastic packaging is on all the items in there, and you save one piece of plastic on your bag. Next time you go shopping, before it even goes in the bag, when you put it out on the thing for the lady to do the scanning, have a look at all the plastic in your shopping.
It's done.
That's all. I just thought I'd say that.
And you know what's
another time we've got to talk about.
Kind of messed up is when it goes to recycling places. If there's even one slight little bit of a food item, whether it's grease, whether it's an actual piece of food, goes to normal trash. They won't recycle it.
Yes.
Even though it goes through these machines where it's dyed, it's
Yes.
fucking bleached,
Yeah.
still won't do it.
And
we can recycle that.
And the other thing that people don't realise as well, about 11 o'clock, all your recycling stuff, the truck's picking up, all the recycling joints are full at 11 o'clock.
So they dump it in normal dumps.
Yeah, so all the bins picked up after that, till 1 or 2 o'clock when they're
Just go to regular tip.
Straight down the tip.
Yeah.
And that was on Current Affair or something a while back.
Well, there's a lot.
It's actually a true story.
We're encouraging...
Still happening today.
We're encouraging recycling by voice, but we're not encouraging recycling by
And
actions.
I'm not picking on the garbos.
That's not
What
their
are they
fault.
going to do?
It's not their fault. It's the higher up.
They've got to go.
And,
Well, sorry.
and we're closing more tips now. We're not building
picking
them.
on the garbos. Great
No.
job that they're doing.
It is. It's not their fault at all.
No.
And their job is...
just merely stating what's actually happening.
Yeah, I think we'd be very surprised just how frustrating it is to be one of those truck drivers because it's quite an annoying job.
Yeah, no.
And they have to switch sides all the time.
We've got a good relationship with our
but
one.
it's the upper ups.
Yeah.
It's the upper people. They're fucking it up. And as you've seen, we're last 20 years we've been closing tips down, not opening new ones. I'm sure we are, but not as many.
Yeah.
So we need to do more actions with recycling, not just speaking.
In the old days before mobile phones, you'd turn on your UHF radio and you can hear them telling each other, no, it's closed. You might also go straight out to bloody Lyndhurst.
That's right. So recycling really is just a whole other subject.
I saw something very funny the other day on TV
What was that?
in America. I was watching the NBC thing,
Yeah.
and they just put this on.
Yeah.
A guy was transporting a bull
Yeah.
in his car, a full-grown bull.
Yeah, what sort of car are we talking about?
It was like a Toyota, 4-cylinder Toyota
Oh, what the
Corolla
fuck?
or something, right?
How did he get it in there?
He cut half the car out. He cut half the roof out and took all the seats out on the left-hand side, or right-hand side, whatever. On the right-hand side, I think, yeah, because the left hand over there.
Wait, where is it?
In America.
That explains
He was
it.
driving down the road, and this bull had horns, this big, one of those ones had the long horns out like that.
Jesus.
It was alive, right? In his car, that he'd got the grinder out, and he put all padding in it, so the bull didn't hurt his legs. Had padding on the side, a couple of pallets on the side. He put on the side with some padding, and the cops had pulled him up. And it was just on the news that what goes on in America, and the cops told him they couldn't fine him for it. There was no fine for it apparently, and they told him to take the bull back home. So turn the car around,
Yeah.
drive it again with the bull in it, take it back home, and do it the right way. That's
I
what
mean,
he
I
was told
think
to do.
we'd have animal laws that protect against that here. Like, what the...
It's probably on YouTube now. Look it up, guys.
Yeah, but you got to remember, this is also the country where they have friggin' tigers,
Yeah.
gorillas, and shit as
Yeah.
pets.
Man drives bull in his car.
Actually, you
He
know,
was going to the vet apparently.
I heard actually Jack Osborne. I'm not going to get this right, but it's still going to be funny. He said a joke the other day. I was watching the Osborne's podcast. The family has a podcast now. Anyway, Jack said, "You know, I wonder, does Charles ever send Camilla dick pics and say, 'Look, Camilla, the double crown jewels'?" I like that one.
Oh, speaking of jokes, I made a joke.
Oh, here we
I
go.
made a joke, right? So what do you get when you cross a helicopter with a jumper?
I'm just going to say Osprey because we're talking about it.
No, you get a bad takeoff. You know, jumper, pull over. You get a bad takeoff.
That's a dad joke if I ever heard one.
Well, I thought it was funny. Maybe it's an aircraft joke.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, definite dad joke, that one.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I liked it, yeah.
But I want to talk about something a bit more serious, and it's... the reason I want to talk about this is because I think there needs to be a bit more knowledge out there. And I know we're not widely popular or anything, but even if it takes time, people see this and this information gets out there.
It's your fault, well, we're not popular. Okay, go on. No, sorry.
I don't even have anything to say to that.
I need a drink.
You're just a bloody actor. I've still got more work to do when I get home.
I'm used to having an audience. I'm used to having people laugh at me.
Anyway, so as you know, yes, we're gone for 3 weeks. This is going to be a little bit more detailed, but kind of has to be to give you the full picture. So March 27th, 2021, I had a very serious heart attack. And I have something called coronary artery disorder, which basically means my arteries are narrow. So basically, you might want to put your hands over your ears because I know this grosses you out a bit.
Yeah, I'll just...
You all right?
Yeah. I'll just start sweating in the corner.
Basically, I'm not going to tell you how they do it because it's a bit graphic. But I had to have a balloon put in my artery, which opens it up.
Yeah.
I could do a lot worse than that. The procedure's horrible, which thankfully I did fall asleep for. Anyway, so obviously I am 33, so I'm quite young to have had that heart attack. There's been a lot of contributing factors to why I did have a heart attack so early, whether it's smoking cigarettes since I was 15, whether it's abusing synthetic cannabis from 2011 to December 1st, 2016. And we'll never truly know what that damage did because it was always changing its
You wouldn't have
chemical
introduced the
makeup.
20 bongs you had before.
I never smoked that much here.
Right.
I don't smoke
No, I'm just joking.
because we're in a country where it's illegal.
That's right, yeah.
Anyway,
I didn't say what was in the bong.
just shut up. You're going to get us in
Oh,
trouble.
the tobacco. Right, go on.
Anyway, so that basically meant Yeah, well, so basically my heart isn't in great shape, and it hasn't got a great outlook because I did have a heart attack so early in life. They expect that I'll have the next heart attack in about 8 years. Personally, I think that's going to be the one that takes me in very short part. I felt like I've always known when I'm going to die, and I've always known I'm going to die in my early 40s. And they've said I'll have a heart attack around then, so it kind of matches up. Anyway, so that means I have to keep a bit more close eye on my heart. So a few weeks ago, it was actually the day we were meant to film this episode. I felt really out of it, and multiple times like I was going to faint, and I'd already been having a problem with my arm, chest, and back. It was that I'd been losing strength in my left arm, and this is basically what caused this whole thing to happen, because it turned out that was actually just a pinched nerve. But they take extra precautions because of my heart. So I went to the doctors to get it checked out. And because of my strength, he was a bit worried, so he called an ambulance for me. Wasn't an emergency or anything like that. He just didn't want me to drive over to the hospital. They took me in. I basically had to wait a while, and they did a chest X-ray, which I found a little funny because we got to see the results on a page later on. Now, even though it's not bad, it's at whatever same it would be for anyone who smoked like I have. But it said on the report that I actually have emphysema. But they didn't tell me that. It was just on the report, but they didn't mention that. Anyway, so they did all the stuff, and I did a quick ultrasound of my heart. And I say a quick one because that's important for a bit later on. And basically there was nothing. But they were a little bit worried about my ECG, which, if you want to know what that is, when you in TV shows, when you see the beep, beep, it's basically that, but it prints out on paper. There was an abnormality, whatever you want to call it, within that. Now that didn't definitely mean a blockage, but they couldn't. I think they spoke to 3 cardiologists that night. They couldn't all agree whether or not there was a blockage. Ended up being a majority thing where 2 of them said it was. Now this is where things take a bit of a turn. I don't like to make it seem like this is hard or I struggle with, but the reality is I actually do struggle with this, and it does get very hard. I have really bad anxiety, depression, and all that. But the anxiety can get really bad, and a hospital is one place where it can get bad, especially if they want me to stay overnight. Now, at my hospital, I went to because I live in a regional area, it's not a big hospital. So they basically said, we can't, I'm not going to describe it, but basically to do that stent, they have to do something called an angiogram, and basically they're having a look with a camera. I'm not going to tell you how they do it because it's, like I said, it's graphic. But they have to do that to look, and they have to do that to also put the balloon in, which is the stent. They wanted to do that, but they also said we would like to do, I don't know if it was an MRI or an ultrasound or an echo, I don't know. Basically, they wanted to do a full-on ultrasound of my heart, and that would have, if there was a blockage, that would have showed them what was going on. Then they would have done the angiogram. But my hospital there doesn't have those resources, so they were going to get me to go to Monash, which is our leading cardiac hospital in Australia, I think. It's one of the leading hospitals in the world for everything, actually, especially IVF. And
yeah, it is.
Yeah. They said you're going to have to stay overnight, and then we'll get an ambulance to transport you. And then we don't know when you'll get the test. We'll just got to get you there and wait until you get fit in into into a surgery thing. And this immediately raised my anxiety into a point where I was almost in a panic attack. Because especially if I get confusing information and misleading information, that makes it even worse. This guy he was an alright cardiologist, but he did a couple of things wrong later on that turned out to be a problem. But the first cardiologist had told me that they might possibly look at putting this. It's not a pacemaker, but it's an electrical device they put on your heart, so they can control it remotely to keep your heart in beat, because they think that my rhythm might be a bit out, and something else, I can't remember what it is, but that device would keep it in. Now, I know that would probably change my quality of life, and possibly, or it might help my heart. This part's a little hard. I'm not going to go into details on this.
Well, my mum's got one.
Yeah, so does my grandmother.
She doesn't seem to have too many problems. So,
well, there is actually complications from it. They read out the list of which just made things worse.
That there can be. That's right.
Oh, shit, I forgot where it was. Yeah. I had something happen to me in year 9. Something that left scars on me for many, many years, physical scars. And when they were telling me they had to cut me open and that there would be a scar there, that's a no-go for me. For a very long time, I couldn't. Those scars were on my thighs, and for many years, I couldn't even look at my own thighs. I couldn't wear shorts that went up past my knee. I wouldn't let anyone because it was truly horrible to look at. And because that was a traumatic experience, I've noticed in the last 10 years that, unfortunately, I have certain triggers, but unfortunately a flashback can be set off about that event. And having that scar on my chest, hold on, sorry, it's a little bit hard to talk about. Having that scar on my chest and seeing it every day would be very, very hard, and I would always be worried about having flashbacks or panic attacks. Right now, I'm not in a mental state where I could have that. It would just cause me constant anxiety, endless amounts. But the part I really want to talk about is we're still learning a lot about these mental issues, anxiety, depression, all of that. But I have to admit the team at Monash and what's actually called the Victorian Heart Hospital, which is where all the cardiac people have gone from Monash, which more people need to know about because a lot of doctors don't know that Victorian Heart Hospital is now open. Fantastic hospital, full of staff, well educated. Unfortunately, the one downside is that the fact that they are new and they don't have a lot of patients, there's a lot of doctors and not enough patients. So you end up having multiple doctors coming in and telling you different information, and it gets very confusing, and sometimes the doctors don't talk to one another. Again, the team at Victorian Heart, beyond magnificent. These guys are absolutely fantastic. They are the top of their class, and it is also a learning hospital, but these are fantastic people. And one of the problems is this is something they don't educate you about in medical school, is how to deal with people with anxiety. I noticed they were trying to do their best, they really were, but it was very, very hard for them to understand what was going on in my head. I went back to the hospital 3 times because we thought it just kept getting messed up. I was happy to stay one night, but then it was thrown up in the air how many days I could be staying there. They were telling me I was going to get the MRI ultrasound thing. Then they were saying we're going to send you straight for an angiogram. Then they're saying that electrical device won't be fitted until later in life. So there was really all this confusing information coming in and out. That was making my anxiety worse. I didn't know if I was going to be staying there more than one night. Again, I have a dog that I'm very, very attached to, and the only time I can really go away from him is when I go camping. Other than that, he's my rock, and I need him. And they even said to me, "Is there any way we can get you to stay, or do you want your mum and dad to stay?" I said, "If you put my dog in the bed next to me, I'll stay," which obviously they can't do. They were trying to understand my anxiety, but because what they're trained in is their mind's looking at your heart. And I fully understand that. They're trying to make sure I don't have a blockage. They want me to be taken care of. but it's very hard for them to understand why I wasn't able to stay, why I couldn't beat it. I think, another problem with that hospital is I don't actually believe they have a psychologist on the staff. So there's not someone who can come and talk to you about things. And I think if we had the general staff, and I'm not just talking about doctors, I'm talking about nurses too, educated on anxiety and mental illnesses, not only could it help their patients, but it could also help so much of the staff. They would obviously feel a lot more comfortable dealing with each other because, this it's something out on the table, everyone's talking about it. And yeah, it would really help a lot communicating with patients because, as we know, anxiety and depression and all those things, more people have got it than ever before. COVID played a large part in that. But I would just like to be able to say that, yes, and I know there's not a lot of yous, but I understand the things you go through in hospital with anxiety. You're not alone with that because anyone with anxiety, I can guarantee you, absolutely hates the hospital. It's full of people.
Yeah, I don't like hospitals.
No,
I'm the same.
I even get
Similar.
to think about the diseases. You're going in and there's more chance of you catching a disease in there than there is out in the free world.
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of funny because we'd been in the hospital at Warragul on Tuesday, and on Friday I had this horrible cough.
Yep.
So I can't definitively say I got it from there, but it was kind of funny. A couple of days after I'd been to that hospital, I'm sick. I was actually worried about that too. I was trying to hide the cough when I was in hospital because I'm thinking, if they think I've got COVID or something, they're definitely going to want to keep me in.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to hide that the whole time. But it turns out they weren't too worried about it. But I think that the last lady who dealt with me, she was also a doctor. She was a bit more understanding, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to guess she knows someone with anxiety problems because she seemed to have a little bit of experience dealing with them. But most of them just couldn't understand how I would put my anxiety ahead of my physical health.
Well, I'm similar with my knee.
Yeah, you won't go to hospital for that.
No, they're talking about
Replacement, aren't they?
Yeah, my doctor discusses surgery and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the last thing that I'm going to be doing, right?
And that's quite involved.
Yeah, scarring
rehab,
and stuff.
scarring,
and
staying in
all that,
hospital.
and, I don't like hospitals. I don't want surgery if I can get out of it. So as long as I can take medication.
And I don't know if
life, I'll be happy.
Everyone's the same with this, but as soon as I walk through those doors, I feel the sense of death.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of good that happens in hospitals, but it's just,
as far as I'm concerned,
it's like a thick cloud when you're walking. It's just
unless I can't walk, it's got that bad. Then I'll have to. I have to. You know? As long as I can still walk, I won't be having surgery. No.
But but basically, what I'm trying to get at is, I think what needs to happen is we need to have more mental illness education within the hospitals, within these medical places. Where when you're saying that, it sounds like they should already have that knowledge, but they don't, because anxiety and depression and all those mental illnesses, you could still, in regards of research, it's still a relatively new topic. It is 20, 30 years old that we've been studying it, but in regards to human beings, it's not very long. But yeah, as much as they were great, it was really, really, really hard. And the night that I got home and I realised I wasn't going back, it all came down on me like a ton of bricks. It was sort of like every single day that I'd been in hospital, and I'd been coming in and out. It was like all the fear of every day and all the anxiety of every day I was there just all came back all of a sudden. And I felt so bad that there was something that happened in 2019 where I couldn't leave the house for like 3 months. In that night, I felt that bad again. That's how shit I felt, because that's unfortunately one of the effects of anxiety, is that it can all come back on you when you start, when it's all over. And yeah, it was just even at points, and thankfully my mum and dad were there, but with one of the doctors, I was going so much into a panic attack. All I was able to say is, I can't say words because that my head, so much is going on in my head that I literally can't say anything. I can't make out words. Um, which funny, well, no, not funny enough, but when I actually had the heart attack, to make it even worse, I was also having the worst panic attack of my life, so I couldn't communicate with the paramedics. I could only nod my head, yes or no. That was horrible. Um, but yeah, it just sort of struck me that they were all really good at what they do, but they just don't know how to handle mental illness. And every time I left, I felt really bad, thinking they're just trying to do the best for me. But then I just had to remind myself they don't understand. Um, and look, ever since I've got it out, I feel absolutely fine. I haven't had any of those pains. I did some exercises, so I've got my strength back in my left arm. I haven't had any chest pains or anything like that. And they did say that that irregular thing on the ECG could be caused by, I don't know, some other thing. It's nothing too serious. But
I'll just add a little thing in there, which the doctors won't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
That when you have a little bit of a heart attack,
Yeah,
sometimes it clears the arteries.
it can.
So that maybe
They
that's
usually
happened.
do that when they go in.
Maybe that's happened.
That's possible.
You could for about a couple of years.
Yeah.
Till
Well, see,
it
the
clogs
other
up
thing
again.
is that they worry about is that the balloon can break down, which it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I know I'm not a doctor, but I feel very confident in saying I am fine. I don't have a blockage. However, I am seeing my doctor on Tuesday. That was the nearest appointment I could get. He's a fantastic doctor, and that's why he's highly in demand. Truly the best doctor I've ever had. And I don't know anyone who's going to be watching this in my area, but anyone who is, you want a good doctor, Alex Roman. He's an absolutely fantastic doctor, best I've ever had. So I'm seeing him on Tuesday, and he is very communicative with my cardiologist. So he'll probably, through him, I'll probably be able to get an appointment. He'll do a checkup on me, and he'll probably do the ultrasound, and they'll find there's absolutely nothing there. But because of my history and because I don't have the best of hearts, they take those extra precautions. And luckily, like I said, my instinct tells me I'm clear. So I was lucky that my panic attacks weren't blocking me from getting treatment that I actually needed. But yeah, all I can say is because I know if I needed it, I should have stayed. And I think what would have helped that is the staff being more educated on mental illness and also being able to speak to a psychologist or counsellor, whatever you want to call them. I think that would have really helped. And I think without it, without them knowing and understanding what's going through my head and how to work with me, there was just no way they were keeping me there. And so every time I had to sign one of those releases signing out against doctor's orders or some shit, something like that. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and it also is sort of nice for me to get all that off my chest because I haven't been able to speak to my psychologist. So I haven't had an appointment with her. But it's nice to get that off my chest. But it also, I just want to get out there that we do need to educate hospital staff more about mental illness, and also if you're out there and you've been through any of this stuff, especially with any form of anxiety with hospital, as much as you may think you are, other people are feeling the same thing. You're definitely not alone, and there, in fact, is help out there. And you can choose what sort of the help is. You can talk to someone like me online, and believe me, there's plenty of places online where you can talk to people in these situations. There's counsellors, there's Beyond Blue. There's tons of ways you can deal with this, but you got the problem a lot of us deal with. We feel alone. We feel like no one else knows what we're going through. For the we don't 100% know what you're going through, but a lot of us have an idea, and we're out there. You're not alone. There is a lot of us out there, and in fact, there's more now than ever. So it doesn't matter where you go. There's always going to be someone to talk to. There's all these free services available: Headspace, Beyond Blue. I can't even think of them all. They're the Australian ones. I'm sure there's ones in America. Suicide Hotline, I've been told, is actually quite good in America. There's a lot. And like I said, the point is, regardless of how you feel, there are other people in the world going through very similar things and know what you're feeling. So that was basically all I really just wanted to get that out. And I know we don't have a lot of viewers, but even if this takes 10 years and someone in a shit place then sees it, I've achieved a goal. So I think I'll wrap it up there.
Yeah,
And,
I just wanted to say, a bit of a thought for the viewers before we go,
yeah, yes.
just to help them out with the housework.
It's almost like Jerry Springer's final thoughts.
Yeah, just a thought that might help in the housework area. Something that I've come up with.
Yeah.
And I've worked out how to wash the floor, and you mop the floor and all that,
Yeah.
and do the dishes at the same time with the dishwasher. So we load the dishwasher and we put twice as much dishwashing liquid in.
You take the hose into the bucket.
No. We put twice as much dishwashing liquid in we need in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And start it.
Yeah.
Then the dishwasher foams up and overflows, and all the suds come out onto the floor. And you get the mop and you mop the floor, mop up, and mop the floor at the same time. I thought it was brilliant. No mop required. No bucket.
Well, no, you still need the bucket because you got to wring out the mop.
No. You just put it back outside. Let it drip out. That's all you do, and you're done. All done. It happened the other day, and I went, "This is brilliant." I couldn't believe it.
I thought, I think I'll make your floor slippery using dish soap.
No, it works great. It was really good. Yeah.
Mm,
Anyway,
okay.
I just thought I'd just share it with the viewers because that was, I didn't have to mop the floor because I'd already done it. Yeah,
All right.
it was good.
That's all from us for now. I'm Rocky.
Yeah, now I'm going to change channel. No, I'm Froggy.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, and don't forget to push those buttons.
I forgot again.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah, say it.